Good morning. That's what Boris thinks of immigrants right there. That's how you deal with the damned immigrants. It's the immigrants' fault for everything. How you doing? It's Wednesday, September 25th, 2019, and welcome to whatever this is. Hope you're in fine fettle. Lot of rain overnight in Salford, but it's dry. If not bright, it is dry at the moment. Hence, I've got the overhead light on, which is bouncing off my baldy dome. My chrome dome. Not quite a chrome dome, not yet anyway. I might get the straight razor out and turn it into a chrome dome. Very quick good morning to a few of you. Hi to Matt in Massachusetts, to Jesus Jones, to Arc M55, Wendy Savage, how you doing, Wendy? Willow Proctor, good morning from Berlin, says Willow. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Hi to John Roherty, the spider brooch, the spider brooch on Lady Hale there. Tony Gosling brought it up on the radio show last night. Occult symbolism. It is, actually. And you know, I think it might be. Might it not be just a harmless bit of decorative jewellery that the Supreme Court Justice decided to adorn herself with? Might it just be a pleasant coincidence? Might it be, you crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy fucking theorist baldy bastard? It might be, yeah, but I don't think it is. I'll tell you what I know about it in a minute, right? Hi to Martin Ellen. How you doing, Julie? And Gregory Hartung. How you doing, Gregory? Nice to hear from you. Yarlin Zay, good morning. Wayne Watson, how you doing, Wayne? Wayne Watson. Dan Des. How you doing, Dan Desborough? In Folkestone. Dan was on the phone-in show a couple of weeks ago talking about the privatisation of policing. The beginning of it by using private corporations to chase people around. And sometimes, many times, erroneously accused them of dropping litter. Very important call that, Dan. Thank you very much, mate. Still on that story, by the way. That's not going away. Hi to Jennifer. How you doing, Jennifer? Maureen. How you doing, Maureen? Good morning. Thanks for watching this nonsense, by the way. Hi to John in Walney Island. How you doing, John? Dawn B. Angela Guidolin. How you doing, Angela? Angela is in Italy, I believe. How you doing, Angela? Keith Skegwin. Lovely stuff. Leeds United fans on this bloody streaming. What the bloody hell is going on? 'Cause we all ate light scum. 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 No, we don't. I'm a Salford fan now. I don't know who we hate. Lee. Is it Lee? Who do we hate? Football fans are world-class fucking morons, right? Who do you support? Salford. Who do we hate? Nobody. We don't hate anybody. We're very confused. Most of us are Man United fans. Hi to Cocabelle, Kinnell, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Hi to Rocky in Roscommon. That's where Rocky ended up. After Adrian passed away and then Paulie passed away, Rocky fucked off to Roscommon. That's where he is. Good morning, sir, in Roscommon. How did you pick Roscommon, Rocky? Did you just throw a dart at a map of the world and you ended up in Roscommon? Hi to Pierre, hi to Jason Williamson, Letra Blaze, Sean Inchcliffe, Shane Tad. How you doing, Shane Tad? Tony Hewitson, how you doing, Tony? And that's it, Colleen Pate. How you doing, Colleen? Or Pate, Colleen Pate. It's a nice pate. So what does the brooch mean then? So as you know by now, the 11 Supreme Court Justices unanimously decided that Boris Johnson gave unlawful advice to the Queen and that prorogation didn't even happen. So they're all back in the House of Commons at 11:30 this morning. Order! I can't do that. I can't do any accent. Chuntering from a sedentary position. Stop chuntering from a sedentary position. The Right Honourable Member from Hackney ought to behave better. So all this is back, right? And the reason is the 11 Supreme Court Justices said it was unlawful. Johnson didn't have the right really to prorogue Parliament for so long. And that was it, basically. They said they don't take any position on Brexit whatsoever. Yeah, right. That's what they say. And she wore this fetching brooch, did Lady Hale. And one or two of you crazy conspiratorial bastards. Like Tony Gosling, my great pal and brilliant presenter. Listen to the Politics Show on BCFM in Bristol. It's really good stuff. So there she is wearing this big spider brooch. And the internet went mad. I want one. I want one. Twitter, do your fucking thing and all that crap. And last night after I finished the radio show, I did go downstairs. I did put Sky News on the telly. And Dermot Murnaghan, Plastic Paddy, did a special programme about the Supreme Court decision. And in it, she was declared on more than one occasion to be a heroine in this drama. These were the exact words used by Murnaghan. This heroine. The world has suddenly fallen in love with Lady Hale. Articles about her everywhere today. She's become a celebrity. You see, it's all a drama. So what was this thing she was wearing in this brooch? Well, some people believe that it's got occult meaningfulness. It's a meaningful symbol. I swear to God, I haven't taken any illicit substances. Can't get the words out this morning. I was on the phone a half an hour ago to a friend and I couldn't speak either. Occult symbology, occult symbolism. Does the spider have meaning? Well, apparently it does. The spider is believed to take our energy away in an astral sense. We have a fear of spiders. Spiders are things that are patient and silent and deadly in how they approach their prey. Spiders weave. Weave could mean weave spells, right? Weave a web. They wrap their prey up. And by wrapping their prey up and not killing it instantly, they take control of their prey. These are some of the things that I've been finding out this morning as I've been researching the relationship between the spider and the occult. So maybe these people, and great researchers like Jordan Maxwell would say, that symbols create or make sound. They are and have an energy field or force of their own. And others like Jim Mars, rest in peace, God love Jim, rest in peace wherever he is, Jim would say that the spider, the brooch, is actually communicating. Freemasonic? I don't know. But it's communicating. It's sending a message to others who would speak that language and who would understand what it means. That's what they would say. Do I endorse that? I can't, because you can't prove it, but it's fascinating. And it is interesting once you start digging down into the occult, how often these particular symbols, not just the spider one, but the other ones we're used to seeing, pyramid, various other shapes, how they appear a lot, excuse me, many times in history. And, you know, how often they are associated with important people, leaders, whatever. So look, it's an interesting one, yeah. A lot of talk in the papers today about Greta Thunberg. We won't dwell too much on that. Paul, I think it was, sent me that image last night saying that maybe somebody was listening to the Richie Allen radio show, Children of the Climate. A lot of editorials in the press, not only yesterday but today as well, endorsing the panic created by Greta Thunberg or whatever the hell you pronounce it. So there you are. Right, we'll have a look at the paper. Before we have a look at the papers, though, you know, I've banged on for many years, many moons, many harvests, many seasons have I talked about the news, geopolitics as being one great big play or production, okay, which we watch and we consume as we would any other television program and or radio program, and we believe it to be real. And I'm very much into this and have been for a long time. little example yesterday of what I mean. We talked, I talk a lot about how the news programs have evolved into not being news programs, but actually being narrators. The news programs now do not report facts. They narrate this play that is playing out in front of our eyes. And they do it in such a way that makes it more and more exciting for the viewer, right? So that's what Kay Burley does. And Jon Snow on Channel 4 and Naga Munchetti and all these people on BBC Breakfast. It's their job to narrate it. Piers Morgan and Susanna Reid, it's their job to get you invested in it. When in fact what's happening is an illusion. It is a scripted theatrical production. I'll give you a little example of it. It's very important that you pay attention to this if you are bothered watching programs like these or live streams like this. The world leaders are in New York at the United Nations General Assembly. We heard Donald Trump yesterday address the assembly and blame Iran and Venezuela for all the ills of the world. Okay? Madman Trump. We might talk about him in a minute. So they're all there. And here's an example of what I'm talking about. Here is German Chancellor Angela Merkel. And she's standing with the Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. And I could have shown you several pictures of them standing together in unofficial photographs. Photographs taken by people in the background, where they're having a bit of a giggle and a bit of a chat and a bit of a laugh. Okay? Now, it's a bit strange because the Iranians are the devil incarnate. At least I thought they were anyway. But there's Merkel, very genial, very jovial. And I could show you about 15 of these. I'm not going to because time is pressing, but you can find them online yourself. Right? Right. Now, a few minutes later, they sit down. They sit down for an official picture. Wow. Right? Production values are shit as usual on the newspaper review live stream. I apologise. Look at that. Huh? Look at that. Official photograph. I've got to look angry and annoyed and upset and pissed off because I'm stuck next to the despotic Hassan Rouhani, the apologist for the Ayatollah, the murderer, the man who blew up the Saudi Arabian oil facility. Ah, he's a bastard, isn't he? Isn't he? But earlier, good lad him. Good lad. How you doing, Hassan? How you doing? I'm all right there, Mrs. Merkel. Yeah. Did you hear we're going to start allowing some of the women into the football matches? I did. Yeah, good. What about you there, Angela? I don't know. I'm public enemy number one for leaving 1 million immigrants into the country that came out of Syria. Yeah, you did, yeah. Lovely. A few minutes later, he's the devil. This is what I'm talking about. What does it mean? Well, it means that Angela Merkel knows that Hassan Rouhani and his government are not responsible for destabilising the Middle East, and they are not responsible for the attack on the Saudi Arabian oil facility. She knows this. So in the pre-official meeting, how you doing? Yeah, it's good to see you, pal. Yeah. In the official meeting, what a bastard. You see the same when Trump meets Putin and when Theresa May met Putin, you see the same behaviour. It's all an illusion. It's all a drama. Okay. Thought I'd just do that there. How you doing, by the way? You well? Do you give a shit? I do give a shit. I wouldn't ask otherwise. Yeah. Here's The Guardian. He misled the Queen, the people and the Parliament. Made me laugh yesterday. He's going into one of the buildings in New York, and the British journalists who've been flown over there, did you hear them? Did you embarrass the Queen, Mr. Johnson? Did you embarrass the Queen? I mean, really? Did he embarrass the Queen? With sons like Andrew and old jug ears, how could he embarrass the Queen? The Queen's got very thick skin. She's got very fucking cold skin. Right? Did you embarrass the Queen? I bet you he was dying to turn around. Really? We are in New York, you know. Oh, Jesus, huh? That's The Guardian, anyway. Did you embarrass the Queen, huh? Her sons are paedophile lovers. I don't think she's going to be embarrassed by Boris Johnson. The Metro, get rid of me if you can, and the Hulk versus the Spider Woman. The Spider Woman. Lady Hale. Lady Hale. Financial Times, it's all the same today. Johnson faces calls to resign as judges rule Parliament's closure unlawful. Makes me laugh that Jeremy Corbyn is calling for Johnson to resign. Yeah, right, Jeremy. Corbyn doesn't want that to happen, because Johnson's resignation means that there is no excuse for not calling a general election. One would have to happen. It could not be tolerated that the Conservatives could have their own internal leadership contest again and then give you another Prime Minister. It couldn't happen. And Corbyn, and I am well aware of the fact that I have suggested that Corbyn might lead a coalition after the next election. I have suggested that, although I've said, don't take my predictions as anything other than, dubious, right? Dubious predictions of mine. Ultimately, Brexit will never happen, no matter who forms the next government. But I had for a while thought Corbyn was kind of a shoo-in to lead a coalition of the the Greens are fucking shit. The Lib Dems, whatever one or two Greens you've got, a few independents and the SNPs. But now Corbyn is polling so badly because he has lost forever working class community voters, traditionally who vote Labour, who are disgusted that we haven't left the European Union. And now it's possible that the Brexit Party will hoover up Labour votes in Labour's heartlands. Possibly. So Corbyn doesn't want an election. Corbyn is possibly the greatest joke in the history of UK politics. Quite possibly. A truly hateful, rotten, corrupt individual, Jeremy Corbyn. Here's the I paper. Humiliated PM refuses to resign. The Daily Mail then. Boris blasts who runs Britain. Judges sensationally say the PM broke law by suspending Parliament. Rees-Mogg rages at constitutional coup. Johnson allegedly phoned the Queen yesterday. And that particular phone call has been talked about quite a lot this morning on the news programmes, as if it has any real significance. The Daily Mirror. Special place in history waiting for you. Prime Minister, the Mirror alleges that Johnson is on the verge of becoming the shortest serving Prime Minister in history. Maybe he will be. We'll have to wait and see. Chuntering from a sedentary position. The Sun, ooh, you are lawful, but we don't like you. The Sun says its readers are disgusted with the decision made by the Supreme Court justices and the spider brooch sporting Lady Hale there. Lady Hale, yeah. Used to be a barmaid, apparently. The Times, PM flies back to chaos. Johnson will be around today, apparently. Back from the UN. The Telegraph, let's be in no doubt there are a lot of people who want to frustrate Brexit. That is a statement made by Johnson himself yesterday addressing the media, blaming the situation we are in at the moment on those who have decided from the beginning that the vote of 2016 would not be honoured, would not be carried out, would not be implemented, I should say, implemented. Express, unlawful. What's lawful about denying 17.4 million people Brexit? Indeed. And the Star, whistleblower. I love it. Snobs stop kids' footy because ref too loud. More than one paper carrying this story today. It's about a it's like a playing area for children, football playing area, where games are played which are refereed, and nearby neighbours have complained and had the game stopped because of the noise made by the kids and because of the referee's whistle. I think it's in the Times as well. I might have seen it in the Times this morning. Washout Britain. Lot of rain fell yesterday. It's bloody climate change, don't you know? Lot of rain fell yesterday. Yeah. One or two more comments and then we'll look inside the papers, because there are some interesting stories inside the papers this morning. Yeah. Piers Morgan, yeah. Hi to Charlotte Binns. How you doing, Charlotte? Nice jumper, huh? You're showing your age there, Charlotte. It's a hoodie. It's not a jumper. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. It's a spiderweb design. Occult symbolism is everywhere, including on this live stream. Hi to Wide Awake Radio there. American Pride. Hi to the Moog. The Moog says the Labour conference yesterday was the funniest thing I've seen in a while. What a bunch of utter muppets. Indeed. Marvellous. Mr. Honeymoot in Giza. Marvellous. Jim Bob Jr. Iran doesn't have a bank controlled by the Rothschilds. That's the problem, says Jim Bob. Hi to Ricky. To Pa. Jean-Ann Crowley says, morning Jean-Ann, what about Nancy Pelosi yesterday? Slight whiff of desperation there. Impeach, impeach. And for what exactly? Remind me again. Well, they allege, and if they're right, of course, it's more than grounds for impeachment. They allege that Trump told the Ukrainians that aid would be withheld from them unless they did him a favour and helped him run a few background checks on old Uncle Joe Biden. I'm not saying there's any truth in that, and I'm not saying this to Jean-Ann. I have the utmost respect for Jean-Ann. I couldn't give a shit. Trump is a Rothschild Zionist neocon puppet. That's all he is and all he was and all he ever will be. It doesn't matter whether he's impeached or not. There'll be another one straight after him. Doesn't matter. There's an assembly line of these Israeli goons. Just there. Yeah, we'll impeach Trump. Christ, they impeached Clinton over semen stains on a cocktail dress. I did not have sex with that woman. I did not. I swear to God. I swear to God. Right? They spent $50 million when $50 million was $50 million on trying to figure out, did he take Monica and Paula and everybody else down to the back garden shed at the White House, roger them senselessly? $50 million. So if there's any evidence that Trump was using people in Ukraine or anywhere else to run interference and to help him take on his opponents, well, those are grounds for impeachment, I'm afraid to say. Not that it matters a bloody damn, I would say. Anyway, wouldn't you hate to be Harry Hewitt? Wouldn't you hate to be Harry? That cad Harry who liked dressing up as a Nazi. Harry who went off to war to fight for his country. Harry whose father is James Hewitt and his mother was a Spencer. Do you ever think that the reason Harry was allowed to marry the mixed race Meghan Markle is because he's not one of them? Bloodlines mean so much to these people. That's the reason why they didn't bat an eyelid when he said, I'm going to marry Meghan Markle. Imagine the conversation between Philip and the Queen. I'd say Philip was properly pissed off until the Queen reassured him. Don't forget, Philip, he's not one of us. All right, that's right, he's not one of us. He's in the papers this morning, Harry. He's in the Times and the Telegraph because he's got the weight of the world on his shoulder. He's in South Africa with Meghan. Meghan is poster child for monarch mind control. I'll explain that in a minute, MK Ultra. I'll explain in a minute why I'm saying that outrageous thing to say. Harry wakes up in the morning And before his man comes to help him out of bed, to put on his slippers, to perform oral sex on him, and then to shower and dress him, before all that happens, Harry struggles to get out of bed because he is overwhelmed by the world's problems. Right? And he's given his first television interview since the birth of Archie. He spoke and she spoke about their concerns about a global consciousness crisis. She spoke about a global consciousness crisis. We'll get into this on the radio show today, maybe. But they're talking about mental health. Everybody's got a mental health problem. There are warehouses that you can see from the moon. You can see the Great Wall of China from the moon, and you can see big pharma's warehouses. The only man-made objects you can see from the moon. There'd be a third. No, I'm not going to say. Don't say that. So mental health. And these warehouses are full to the brim with new drugs to deal with life's everyday situations. Because they are diagnosing life now. These people are diagnosing life as a mental health problem. They are diagnosing life as a mental health issue. Everyday problems, situations that might cause angst, worry, concern. These are mental health problems. We're all dealing with them. And Harry Hewitt and Oprah are on a mission to convince us all that we've all got a mental health problem. And Harry struggles to get out of bed in the mornings because he has the weight of the world on his shoulders. There it is. It's in the Times as well. He feels the burden of the world's problems, does Harry. Two pence or 2 cents worth of research into Meghan Markle, the actress who came to prominence in a very interesting, at least for the first 3 seasons anyway, an interesting drama, legal drama called Suits, which the future Mrs. Allen was very much enamoured of, loved it, until it got boring. And she was in it, Suits. She played Rachel, a paralegal with a brain who destined for better things in the world of law. That's how she came to prominence. And 2 cents worth of research into Meghan. Just go back, interviews, television appearances. A woman who worshipped her father. And the relationship between a dad and a daughter is a very special thing. I've had conversations with my pal Jean Ann about her old dad. And when you talk to people about their dads, and you talk to girls about their dads, you hear shining through what women are saying is a special bond that. You know, little girl and daddy. She loved her father, Thomas, loved him. Never laid a hand on her. Did everything he could for her in good times and in bad times. Loved the man. She hasn't spoken to him for about 2 years. Refuses to answer his letters. Won't take his phone calls. She's in a cult now. She's in some sort of weird, I don't know, Scientology-esque cult with this royal family. Even if Harry Hewitt is not in the bloodline. She's in a sect. This is not normal behaviour. Is it? To completely cut ties with your old man. And I'll say it till forever. I said it at the time just before the wedding when he suddenly came down with chest pains and ended up in hospital. Just before he was due to fly out to London for the wedding. It's a cult. And she's ensnared in it now. Mind control. Won't have anything to do with her father. Important man, a man she loved. Somebody she could trust. Somebody who'd put an arm around her shoulder. Somebody who would take her out of any situation where she was in any danger, I suppose. Mad stuff. So Harry is on the Times and in the Telegraph telling everybody who listen that he wakes up with the worries of the world on his shoulders. Yeah. Jean Ann sent me this. Climate change. University of Sheffield. Allegedly, I don't know. It's hard to know whether there's any truth in this. This seems to be speculation. I fired off an email to the university this morning. I don't expect to get a response. But according to, you see, the Mail is saying this is compulsory, that students will have to attend lectures on climate change. But the Vice Chancellor is saying that there are plans in place, or there will be plans, or discussions are ongoing about how to deal with the climate emergency. So whether or not lectures on climate change are compulsory or not is not entirely clear yet. This is where the headline might not be supported by the text of the article. But it doesn't mean it's not coming down the line. Compulsory lectures on climate change, which climates are changing all the time, but man isn't controlling the climate, not through CO2 emissions anyway. Other men are certainly interfering with our weather, of course, and by definition then interfering with the climate. But this is where we are going, compulsory, and it won't be just universities, of course, it'll be primary schools, it'll be everything. Maybe even in the workplace. Maybe workers, employees of firms around the world, regardless of what the firm does, will be compelled to listen to lectures on climate change. It won't just be manual handling courses and courses on sexual harassment in the workplace. No, you're going to have to do a course on climate change. Who knows? Who knows? This is interesting. In the Times, a former US police officer who fled to Russia and claims to have hundreds of hours of video from Jeffrey Epstein's properties has said that the FBI may be helping to cover up Prince Andrew's alleged role in the sexual abuse scandal. John Mark Dugan, former US Marine and Florida Deputy Sheriff, is in Russia, allegedly with boxes and boxes and boxes of videotapes, some of which allegedly would incriminate the Queen's son, Andrew. Mr. Johnson, did you embarrass the Queen? Really? That's in the Times as well. Good stuff in the Times today. Good stuff. Good stuff. What else do we have? This is good. The European Union officials have approved the use of a medicinal cannabis product aimed at children with 2 severe forms of epilepsy. This has come up on the programme, of course, hasn't it? With our friends in Cork and young Ava, of course. Very important story. Epidiolex, is that how you'd pronounce that? Epidiolex, cannabidiol, a medicinal cannabis product that can treat 2 rare but severe forms of epilepsy, has been approved by European regulators. It can be given out now by doctors in the UK and other European countries, but the NHS is not recommended to use the product. An oral solution of, I can never pronounce that. Cannabidiol, is it? Cannabidiol. The NHS is not recommending it or being recommended it because of concerns over its long-term effectiveness and use. This is the product Epidiolex. It doesn't contain tetrahydrocannabinol, which is THC, which is that aspect, that compound that gives you the big high. It doesn't contain that. But the NHS not yet going to recommend it. Here we go. All the information is in the Daily Mail today if you want to read that. So on the Dravet syndrome, or Dravet syndrome, is one of the rare types of epilepsy that can be helped by this drug. And again, we've talked about that on the program. So that's interesting. That's one to keep an eye on, I suppose. That's in the mail today. I'll go back to the comments now in a minute briefly. Then we'll crack on. Gerald Stalente is among the guests today on the Richie Allen radio show from 5. Couple of times in the last couple of days, the BBC has had to put its hands up and say, yeah, we've overstepped the mark. We have transcended the boundary. We have crossed over between objective coverage of an issue and subjective treatment of it. Objective coverage of an issue is telling you that the Supreme Court ruled that Johnson's prorogation was unlawful. End of story. That's objective coverage. You've told the story. Subjective coverage is your presenters take a position on that, or your producers favour introducing spokesmen and women who are in agreement with the Supreme Court. That is subjective coverage. That is bias. BBC's come in for quite a bit of criticism of late. And I mentioned earlier on Naga Munchetti. I don't know much about Naga Munchetti. She's an elfin type, pixie type figure. It's very small, kind of pixie-esque woman who presents BBC Breakfast. That's all I know about her. She comes from a mixed race background, I believe. Maybe she doesn't. Mauritian and Indian heritage. She had a bit of a diva fit on one of the breakfast programs over Donald Trump's characterization of the horsewomen of the apocalypse, when Donald told them to go back to their own countries or something like that. She had a diva fit because she was offended, and the BBC itself agreed that she overstepped the mark. Of course she fucking did. Report on the story, love. Keep your own opinions out of it. None of your fucking business. Tell the listeners or the viewers that Donald Trump has been criticised for the way he spoke about Ocasio-Cortez and all the other women, and then shut up and get on with the next story. Okay, don't melt down because you too understand what it's like to be told to go back home to your country. We don't give a shit. You know, we just want the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. We'll make our own minds up, thank you, about whether Trump is racist or not. And Ofcom have upheld, and the BBC has upheld, a complaint against Emily Maitlis. Now, Emily Maitlis is about as useful as teats on a bull. A completely, wretchedly underqualified presenter who demonstrated as much when she chaired the Conservative Party leadership debate. Remember when she couldn't control it and completely fell apart, trying to keep order between Johnson and Jeremy Hunt and all the rest of it. Wretchedly useless, yet she was given the top job of presenting Newsnight with two other women. Emma Barnett, another useless fucking presenter, who also happens to be Jewish, as Maitlis is, interestingly enough. Wow. Maitlis interviewed Rod Liddle. Now, Rod Liddle is, well, they don't get more annoying than Rod Liddle. He's an arsehole. He knows it himself. He plays on it. Very good, Rod Liddle, at writing articles that wind people up. When I say arsehole, I don't particularly dislike him. He does a bit of race baiting sometimes in his columns. Yeah, he's a good writer, but he gets people's backs up. Maitlis had him on and basically accused him of racism. Went on and on about it, to the point where he stopped the interview and lambasted her for demonstrating loud and clear the BBC's bias towards people like him, or towards people who, take a Brexit position, or who believe in leaving the European Union, or who talk about immigration. So it's an interesting story. Yeah, mateless. The BBC isn't objective, it isn't fair, it isn't balanced, it isn't unbiased, it's anything but. That's an interesting story there. The published findings said Mateless had questioned Little in a justified manner, but added, however, it was insufficiently clear that this was not her view of Little, but that of his critics. And the persistent and personal nature of the criticism risked leaving her open to the charge that she had failed to be even-handed between the two guests. Yeah. Mateless is wretched. Of course she is. And her pal, Barnett, her father, trafficked in people for his prostitute business. Some story that, major story that. The newspapers don't want to touch it. Emma Barnett. Oh, Christ. 11 minutes past. John McDonnell. Neil Saunders said to me last night, you can't go on about virtue signalling, Rich, because to go on about virtue signalling is in fact to be virtue signalling about virtue signalling. He might have a point, Neil, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is world-class virtue signalling from John McDonnell. In case you don't know who he is, Jeremy Corbyn's bestie, the shadow chancellor of the Exchequer. If Labour leads the next government, McDonnell will allegedly, no chancellor has ever been in control of the purse strings. It's an illusion. But McDonnell would allegedly be managing the country's finances. What did he say yesterday at conference in Brighton? If we get in, I'll give number 11 Downing Street to some homeless people. Sure you will, John. Jesus. You know the way I'm talking about being gaslit? People were being gaslit, constantly run down, being attacked psychologically by people with more money than us, with more of a profile than us. Public people telling us all the time that we are homophobic and we are racist. There is an outstanding article, infuriating as it is. Infuriating because the guy who's written the article has got it all wrong. But the article is important anyway. It's in the Times today. It's in the comments section of the Times. Matthew Syed. Furore over Silva won't help fight to stamp out racism. Bernardo Silva plays for Manchester City. Like every other fucking player who plays for Manchester City, he's pretty good. And he plays football with another player called Benjamin Mendy, who's also a very good fucking footballer. City, I like Grandada. City, right? City. Now, Benjamin Mendy the other day tweeted, no he didn't, Bernardo Silva the other day tweeted a message to his chum, Benjamin Mendy. As you can see, Benjamin is black. And the tweet was of a picture of a young Benjamin Mendy alongside Conguitos. Now, I didn't know anything about Conguitos, right? Hang on now. I'm going somewhere with this. You better be a big baldy bastard. I am! Give me a minute. I can hear you. I've got telepathy going on here. Let's see Conguitos. Where is it? Where's the story? So Matthew Syed writes now in the Times. This is driving me mad this morning, this sort of thing, don't you know? Let me bring it up there. Worst fucking live stream in the world. Here it goes, right? If you lived in continental Europe, you would probably know about the popularity of conguitos. And I lived in Spain for years. And I don't remember conguitos. Then again, there was a lot of drinking in the Spanish years. But anyway, it's a chocolate-covered peanut. Caroline will know this, because Caroline eats everything. The future Mrs. Allen. She weighs about 7 stone 12 pounds soaking wet. But like all of her brethren and sistren in France, she is a greedy gluttonous. They don't stop eating, French people. Ever. They just eat and eat and eat and eat. But because they eat well and they don't rush it, they don't gain any weight. She eats everything. There's nothing that she would taste and say, oh, I don't like that. No, everything. Right? So she'll know what conguitos are. So the icon, the conguitos icon, is a small figure with big red lips, as you can see there. And Bernardo Silva saw a picture of Benjamin as a young boy. Bernardo knows all about conguitos, the mascot or the icon, and sent him a picture as a bit of a laugh. Now Benjamin Mendy, the black player, doesn't give a shit and has gone to some lengths to say that he's not one bit offended by it. It's mickey taken amongst teammates in the robust, tumultuous even, roly-poly, rough and tumble environment that is a football dressing room. All sorts of shit will be said in a dressing room, regardless of whether it's a professional one or some useless Sunday league fucking footballer like me. Were you any good, Richie? My second touch was a tackle. Always. Right? Actually, I'm doing myself a disservice there. Didn't have a bad touch, to be honest. Right. I had the death touch. So Benjamin is not taking any offence to it. But Matthew Syed, well, he should take offence to it, according to The Columnist. And here you have, on the right-hand side of the article, structural racism can be perpetuated by people with good motives. This is mind control. This is psychological warfare. Telling people that your motives are good, your motives are pure, you don't mean any malice, you love your friend, you don't see him as a subspecies, you don't see him as less of a human being than you, he's your brother. But it's structural racism. Right? Here it is. And he goes on to say, I know I'm making a pause of this now, but it's hard for me to bring this stuff up. He goes on to talk about the commercials of conguitos, how unsubtle they are. A brand was perpetuating, unconsciously or otherwise, a demeaning stereotype of black people as intellectually inferior, capricious, exotic, less morally evolved, and capable of being exploited by white superiors. Holy Jesus. Do you see that in the picture of conguitos? Do you see a brand that is perpetuating, unconsciously or otherwise, a demeaning stereotype of black people as intellectually inferior, capricious, exotic, less morally evolved, and capable of being exploited by white superiors? Does that picture say all of that? Or is it a picture of a jolly little character, right, okay, with big lips? And he goes on to say, structural racism can be perpetuated by people with good motives, unaware of the tropes they are entrenching, or the offence they are causing. But Benjamin Mendy said he didn't take any offence to the bit of piss taking thrown his way by his teammate Bernardo Silva. So who are you or anybody else to take offence on behalf of the man who was sent the mock-up photograph juxtaposing the young Mendy and the character? Who are you to take offence and call it structural racism? And this is very serious. This is not a throwaway kind of last minute, and finally type story. This is psychological warfare on people. It is meant to instill in people terror of saying or doing anything at any time of day or night, without first of all running it through about 300 or 400 psychological fucking filters. Can I say that? Should I do that? Who might it offend? Might somebody say something? This is, in essence, the pretext, the forerunner of a future social crediting system where you will be judged and your ability to live, thrive, survive, earn, travel will depend upon whether or not you pass muster when it comes to things like this. It's unbelievable. Structural racism can be perpetuated by people with good motives. That's not doublespeak. That's psychological warfare on the population at large. People have been calling for Bernardo Silva to be fucking fined hundreds of thousands of pounds, not that he'd miss it, but it doesn't matter, and or suspended from between 1 to 6 games. This is the guy with whom he gets on best with at Manchester City Football Club. A football club, however much they earn, is no different than a factory or a supermarket. Bunch of people work together. Some get on, some don't. Some are indifferent. They're mercenaries. We all are. Those of us who work. I mean, I work for myself now. But when you work for a company, you're a mercenary. You like some people, some you don't, some you don't give a fuck about. These guys get on really well, apparently. This is mind control. This is psychological warfare on the population. You're not allowed to take the side of not just Bernardo Silva, but you're not allowed to take the side of Benjamin Mendy, who says there's nothing offensive in that, by the way. Made me laugh. No, you must be on the side of, well, historical connotations and the slave trade and the minstrels and all of that. Yes, it is subconscious racism and it must be stamped out. Whether or not he meant to be hurtful or injurious is irrelevant. Dangerous fucking times these, eh? Right. Gotta go and do some running. And then do a lot of work ahead of today's programme at 5 o'clock, which will be on the usual channels. Fucking hell. Right, I'll see you later, right? See you at 5. Bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.